What have we got for our next topic?
Okay, this one I think was one of mine, and I think it'll be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favourite science fiction author, and why?
Author singular.
Yes.
Right. Oh, so this is a tricky.
That's why I chose singular, because otherwise you just sit here with a list.
Right. Yeah, but I'm going to have to go through the also rans. I think there's certain authors where there's usually it's not necessarily because the whole body of work that they do is stand out, but there's certain authors where it's a particular work has stood out head and shoulders above the crowd. And so in my also rans, I probably have... so this is a toughie, this really
Absolutely,
is...
that's the point.
Certainly on my shortlist, we'd have Alfred Bester, we'd have Arthur C. Clarke, and we'd also have Brian Aldiss. There's another one. Any others? Larry Niven. And I think you should probably also include Terry Pratchett in that as well. I know
he has written science fiction.
Yeah, but there's a science fiction element in a lot of fantasy fiction. Sci-fi and fantasy are very closely linked.
There's a lot of people out now writing angry messages in the comments from what you just said.
Yeah. Hello, Nerdside, represent. But I think... Oh, God, this is such a toughie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to say it's a toss-up between Arthur C. Clarke and Alfred Bester. And I think Alfred Bester is going to just edge it. And right, the reason for this is, it might come as strange to you, but I've only ever read 2 Alfred Bester books. The Demolished Man and The Star's My Destination. And in all honesty, The Star's My Destination became such a pivotal book after I read it for me. It just stood out as this amazing book that presented these amazing imaginative concepts and built a world within which to put them. That it really felt like a brilliant intertwined plot where things that happen at the start of the book pan out at the end of the book, and there's lots of subplots, all intertwining, intermeshing, and that's why it's for that one book alone, The Star's My Destination, Alfred Bester just pips it. But there's quite a few authors there which came in awfully close. I mean, Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke, that book on its own is an amazing book. Arthur C. Clarke has written some real stinkers in his time. Like Fall of Moondust, what a lousy book that turned out to be. Not aged well. But Rendezvous with Rama, that is like elevated so far ahead of everything else. But Alfred Bester's just picked it.
I didn't like Alfred Bester's work. I'm sorry,
Did you read Star's My Destination?
Yes, and his new way of writing really, really irks me. I'm sorry, I'm very different to you, Jen.
Yeah, she likes the Forever War.
I'm a hard sci-fi lover. I like proper hard. There's an actual thing about this. You could go in and look up the theories behind it. You could probably find some of the ideas replicated in New Scientist, that kind of thing. That's the type of sci-fi I like.
So you'd like Greg Bear?
Probably. My favourite sci-fi author, absolutely, beyond a doubt, Greg Egan.
Yeah, you do keep...
He's the embodiment of hard science fiction. All of his theories feel like they could actually work. They're just taken from standard theories of the time and then pushed a little bit further. And then let's see if we can push them a little bit further and see what comes out of it.
What was the one that you got me to read of his?
I don't remember. Was it Permutation City? Diaspora?
Which was the one with the Chinese kid and the girl and the weird corporation?
That is Neil Stephenson.
Right.
Snow Crash, Neil Stephenson. He is one of my runners-up, because, my goodness, Snow Crash, Ream D, a couple of others I can't remember the titles of right now,
actually.
are amazing. Ream D is so good. I wish I had a copy of the book I could hand to you and say, read this, because I listened to it in an audiobook, and it is so good. But for me, yeah, Arthur C. Clarke, a lot of his stuff that I've read is great. Rendezvous with Rama is great. Can't stand the guy himself. The accounts of his alleged paedophilia are just disgusting. But he wrote some very good sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, with Arthur C. Clarke, it's like I said before, there's some real stinkers. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't believe me, go and try reading A Fall of Moondust. It is the most boring, formulaic, the worst of 1950s/60s churned out sci-fi. But
Stick
then
a rocket on the cover and it'll sell.
yeah, very much so. And they're like, you know, and the sexism in it as well is just like, it's like, oh my god, that ship is never late, is it?
Yeah.
But then there's stuff like City in the Stars, where he explores the idea of space elevators. And, you know, there's some really good stuff going on. But Rendezvous with Rama just was so far ahead of any of these others. And he tried to revisit it.
You have a look at Rendezvous with Rama and you see, right, all sci-fi that came before it, and then all sci-fi that came after it.
Yeah.
It's one of those pivotal works. And it's the absolute best demonstration that I can think of being how you have to separate the author from the work. Because the author, I can't stand him. But that book is phenomenal.
Yeah. I know what you mean, yeah. And it's interesting that what this shows up is that fiction is very subjective. And nowhere is more apparent than the Sci-Fi Masterworks collection. It's a set of books done by Golantz Publishing, and it ran to about 73, 74 books.
I believe the last two are numbered as 70. I'm looking at them on the shelf right now. They're both numbered 72.
Yeah, they really phoned it in at the end. But as a collection of Sci-Fi Masterworks, it really was there. But when you try and read some of these, some of them really, it's like, where have you been? So it's the series that I first read Rendezvous with Rama in. It's the series that I discovered Alfred Bester's The Star's My Destination. It's the series that has I Am Legend.
I Am Legend is the one I was going to mention, yeah. Such a good book.
Yeah, but then it's also got other ones, like it's got Larry Niven's Ringworld, which is actually book one in the series, but it's only got book one in there, but it is a standalone book.
It's got Dune in there, which Frank Herbert, can't stand the man. His homophobia is disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
But Dune is such a good book.
Very much so. And I tried other good ones. Non-Stop by Brian Aldiss is in there. But then there's other books you can see that there's a lot of inspirations for Hollywood films. I'm sure that the Complete Roderick, the robot book,
yeah,
it reminds me so much of what was the one with Robin Williams?
Bicentennial Man.
Yeah,
which, funnily enough, is based on a different book.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a book. I don't know whether it's before or after the Complete Roderick, or whether it's like something that was inspired by it or what, but I'm pretty sure it's not the Roderick books that comes from.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, let's look at some of the others. There's some complete stinkers in my view in there, which you really can't get into.
Well, you hated the Forever War, but I loved it.
Yeah,
which shows how much.
Well, then again, see, I liked Cities in Flight by James Blish, and you couldn't get through that. But then there's others. The
Man in the High Castle.
Yeah, Man in the High Castle. I didn't like it.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. The Amazon series, haven't bothered watching it. It looked completely different and therefore annoyed me straight off. It's just one of those things. I think what we're getting to from this is that science fiction, like any genre, is very subjective. You'll either love it or hate it, but just because you hate something or love something doesn't mean you'll love or hate anything else.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the... I'm trying to think of one that was a complete stinker for me. Dances at the End of Time. I know a lot of people are really into that series.
Oh, Michael Moorcock.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But Michael Moorcock's Behold the Man. I actually thought that was a very interesting and innovative book. It's only short. I think it's very short. I think it's the thinnest one in that set.
If it's not, then it's very close to I Am Legend in its length.
No, I think it's shorter. I mean, I read it in an afternoon, and it was. I even remember buying it. It's one of those books where it kind of.
Where were we? Since I've just had to turn this back on after redoing the battery.
Talking about Behold the Man.
Okay.
It's one of those books where you remember where you were and what you were doing when you got it, and I can remember.
Which is ironic because we couldn't remember where we were up to when we were talking.
But no, seriously. Yeah. I do remember We'd gone up to visit your parents in Durham, and I think we'd gone into Newcastle for the day.
Oh,
And,
was it Newcastle?
Yeah, I'm sure it was Newcastle. And I have a feeling it's when we did a book signing, you know. And we were having a browse beforehand, and they had a copy of Behold the Man, and it was just like nicking the spine. And it was like, yeah. And they said, well, we'll do it cheaper for you because that's our only copy. And so I bought it, and then I think I read it at your parents' house.
Wow.
The following day.
I remember it took me a couple of days to get through it because Moorcock's writing is something that you gotta get into straight away or you can't get into it all.
Mm-hmm.
And funnily enough, it seems to vary from subject to subject. I remember the Doctor Who book that he wrote, which I can't remember the name of right now, but I'll put the name on the bottom of the screen. I read that just like that. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Behold the Man took me a couple of days, but his other stuff I haven't been able to get into.
Yeah, those Dances at the End of Time, that I found it very purple prose, self-indulgent. I just couldn't. You know, when you can't connect with the story, no matter how hard you do, and you suddenly think, this is hard work and I'm not getting anything back from it, then that's the time really to bail out from a book.
Almost as if Moorcock is great when he's kind of hemmed in by canon. So Doctor Who, he was alright. With Behold the Man, he's following a Bible story, so he's hemmed in. So it gets his creativity channeled.
Yeah,
spread out a bit.
I can see what you're saying, but I couldn't possibly comment.